Good morning, and today is my morning view. This is Mona. I am Mona. I am Mona. Not this is. I'm not a this. All right. Today on my morning view, it is Tips Tuesday. This is the spring edition 2026. It is kind of coming to a close. We got a couple more weeks and then it is summer. Then we are full-fledged in the summer. So spring has been a while. Okay, spring 2026. And with that, I have gotten flowers for my deck. Flowers for the deck, flowers for a couple other spaces. I'm not done potting yet. Life happens, right? Got them on Saturday. Potted a few on Saturday. Sunday, very busy day from early in the morning till later in the evening. And then Monday began. So Monday is when we took the dog to the vet and they had to put her under sedation so they could do a full arm x-ray. We do not have full results for that yet because the doctor's off for the next 2 days. So on Wednesday, they're going to give us a call and discuss what they saw on those x-rays. However, it seems to be that there's not a lot to massively worry about. If there was cancer, I think they would have told us, right? They didn't seem concerned in that aspect. They did say that they possibly may need to have her go to like a physical therapy type of thing. So to go to a specialist. So that's a possibility for her. We'll see. Tomorrow we will know more. So there'll be more of an update, possibly on Thursday. Just going to show you a couple more of the flowers I got. These are called candlesticks. Where are they at? They're on that side of I can't see where they are. Right there. Purple and white. And then I got to show you this beautiful rose. It's a climbing rose. I'm hoping to put it here. And it can use the fence line as a trellis. So that's what I'm hoping for. There's a couple plants over here by the tree. And I'm not sure how that one's going to do because that one should be in full sun, and it got placed over there where it's mostly shade, and then a shade plant there, which it will always be in the shade. I don't know of that part of the tree ever getting sun. So yeah, we've got a few plants here. We've got a couple that I've saved through the winter time that survived, a lot of begonias, and over here again some of the ones that survived during winter, although they look a little funky. And a couple of the newer plants, some dahlias, and then I brought out some of my other plants. It's a work in process. So we've talked about the update of the star of the show. Oh, by the way, there she is, right there, star of the show, and she's not feeling so good. So she had multiple bouts of throwing up last night. Multiple bouts. And when I say last night, I'm talking between 12:30 when it started to approximately 2 o'clock in the morning of throwing up. So we were up cleaning that. And bravo to my husband who endured that, because the first time she threw up, I slept through it. I didn't even know what was going on. And the second time is when I woke up and he was almost done cleaning it up, or at least I thought he was, and then he kept going down with more paper towels. So, and for those of you who know, my husband is not a big fan of barf, okay? It makes him barf. And he did not. There was a lot of sounds. That's why I woke up. There were a lot of sounds involved, but he actually kept it down, so bravo on him on that one. The third one, I got up to clean up, and then he took her outside where she threw up again, and I'm not sure if she threw up more times after that or not. But not because I may have slept through it. I don't know. So I feel sorry for my husband today because he already gets up very early. We went to bed a little bit late. Not massively late, but probably about 15, 20 minutes late. And then to be harshly woken up after midnight, it's going to make for a very rough day for him at work today. So your prayers for him would be appreciated. I will endure. I slept in, and so, I slept in. It was almost 7 o'clock, I think, when I got up, and normally I'm up earlier than that. So there's that. That's the update on the star of the show. We'll know more tomorrow. So Thursday, you'll get more information. All right, and then plants. I purchased all these plants, and the thing about plants at our house is we're not massive green thumbs. We're not. I mean, you can tell by the plants that survived through the winter are looking a little scraggly, right? Plants don't thrive and flourish in our care. I would love to take horticulture. I would love to take, what's the other one besides horticulture? Starts with a B. No, that's not biology. It's botany. Botany, that's it. I would love to take botany and horticulture and those types of things so that I can learn plant. I love the idea of gardening. I just love the idea of gardening. A dream of mine is to have, new chime, by the way. All our broken chimes are over here, except for the sunflower one, but that's just a Tractor Supply one. But all the others are broken in one way or another, and they were up there for the Chime Hospital. That's where they're at right now, Chime Hospital. So, like this one needs the little thing that the wind catches. This one needs its top glued back together. Yeah. So there's massive amount of chimes. There's one down there that's, in isolation. So gardening, I would love, a dream of mine is to have I'll think of it. I'll think of what it's called, a botanical garden. I would love to have a botanical garden, some property, something, like 20 acres, 20, 30 acres. And there's going to be sections where flowers, sections for trees, section for food plants, section for natural food plants, a section for like a walk-through garden, something that honors some people, like roses. I would like to have a rose garden to honor my father. I'd like to have an iris garden to honor my mother, and a daisy area to honor my sister-in-law. So different places that honor certain things, right? I would love to have some trilliums. That is my favorite flower, trilliums, and that I would be honoring God, because there's something about trilliums that remind me about the Lord, and part of that is its essence of three. So so plants, would love to do that, but doesn't work for me so well. Here's some more plants, more flowers. And so we asked specifically because we've killed quite a few roses in our time here. And so we asked the gardener about the roses, and he goes, well, what kind of food do you feed it? What kind of food do you feed it? We don't. We plant it in the ground, and then we water it sometimes. We don't feed any of our plants food. He goes, well, plants need food just like we need food. Surprise! I kind of knew that, but I thought that, you know, they get a lot of nutrients from the ground. You know, the ones in the pots don't. But, you know, I put like banana peels in there from time to time and stuff. So it's like, you know, I'm trying to help them out a little bit. But no, I'm not taking care of my plants. I'm not doing what the Lord told us to do when it comes to stewarding the ground, stewarding the earth. We talked about this. We actually talked about this briefly on Sunday with our group about you know, what that is, about stewarding the earth, and we haven't stewarded the earth well. And I don't even steward my own little dominion back here, right? Because I'm not nurturing, I'm not I'm not pruning. We're just now, we started to cut off suckers off of the rose bushes, the rose bush that we have that hasn't produced flowers in quite a while. So for several years we've been identifying suckers and cutting them down, but not real timely. Like, we let them go for quite a bit before we actually do anything about it. And really, you know, what's the best time to get out a weed is when it's young. Because once that weed, it has time to put in roots, it's horrendous getting it out. And it comes back because you can't pull it all out because that root has gone deep. So, you know, things like suckers, things like weeds, things that steal the nutrients from your plants, and then you don't feed it? Are we doing that to our spirit? How are we nurturing our garden of the Lord? You know, like we don't have the Garden of Eden anymore. But we have a garden that we need to tend to. And that is our spirit. And when you're not tending to the spirit, when you're not giving it nutrients, when you're not taking those weeds that creep in from your soul and getting them while they're young, they grow roots that are deep, and it's hard to get them things out of there. So plants remind us a lot about ourselves and the spirituality of ourselves. Now, I have several plants that I've had to move around in different locations of my house. Some need more light than others. Some don't need light at all. Some need more water than others. Some need a bit of water. So just like we require different things based on who we are. But in a whole, as plants, we all kind of need the same thing, just differently. So there was a plant that was doing well in the basement until it got cold. So every time there's a temperature change, this plant, you know, has a problem. So that particular plant didn't make it, but we got another one like it, and we put it in a place during the winter. It worked really well. Once I saw that it was getting too much light in one spot, I moved it to another spot. It got a little bit of light, but not a lot of light, and it was flourishing. Then the season changed. I opened up my front door. The minute I opened up my front door, that area now received more light. And this plant started to yellow its leaves. And it's like, what is going on? Why can't I keep this plant alive? So I moved it again. So today, last night, I moved it to a spot that I'm hoping will do it well. Because there are several plants that I've moved from one spot to another spot to another spot. And some of them are starting to do very well on their location. Sometimes God is putting you in a place that will help you thrive. You may think you're in isolation. You may think you're in a place that, you know, does anybody care for me here? But you thrive because the location, sometimes it's about location. God had Abraham go to Egypt for a while. God had Joseph and Mary take Jesus to Egypt for a while. Location. Guess what he did with Isaac? He had him stay. He had him stay where he was, not go to Egypt. Right? So sometimes he sends you to Egypt, and sometimes he keeps you where you are. And it's your obedience that determines the blessing. So location is a big part of it. Water, drought. So there was a drought, and Elijah went to the woman of Zarephath and her son. She was a widow. And had he not gone to Zarephath when the brook Cherith dried up, so he had a place of provision. But now God was sending him to not just provide for him, but to provide for more than just him. So he dried up the brook Cherith, told him to go to the woman of Zarephath. He went there, and he stayed with her. And while he stayed with her, the what do you call it? The flour and the oil did not run dry. It was to remain with flour and oil until the drought had ended, before the famine had ended. In that time period, the son became ill. And Elijah went and prayed over the son 3 times. And he became well. That he was ill unto death. In other words, had Elijah not been there, had Elijah not been in the vicinity, been there with him. I got noise. Come on. Uh-oh. Something's going on. All right. I'll have to check that after. All right. So, had he not been there, because he was in proximity to the boy, that the boy lived. Had he not been there, that boy would have died twice. Twice, in the sense that had he gone through the famine and survived their one cake that they were going to share amongst themselves, and then it run dry, he would have starved to death. But had they found some provision somewhere, he would have been, he got ill. And then he would have died through that. So twice Elijah saved this boy from destruction. Proximity sometimes isn't for us. Sometimes it's for others. Now, mind you, Jesus did not have that proximity problem. He could just speak in Cana to the official's son in Capernaum, and he be healed at the exact hour of his speaking that he would live. Where, Elijah was there present. It just shows that Jesus was the greater prophet, but Jesus is more than just that. All right, so moving right along, sometimes our location is determined by the needs of others and not necessarily the needs of ourselves, so that someone else will be blessed. And so this moving around of plants in my house to locations that would be best suited for them has brought more plants to more rooms than previously. And then there's the water, and some need less water, some need more water. And so sometimes, water is referred to as the Spirit a lot of times in the Bible. So there are times when we feel like, is the Spirit moving? Is the Spirit, active in my life? Is the Spirit, there's a lot of times we think about that as a feeling and not a that it's there, okay? And I used the word it, and that threw me off, because the Holy Spirit is not an it. What I meant by it was I meant more of the feeling of its of the presence of the Lord. So it's the feeling that I'm talking about. So sometimes you feel the Holy Spirit, and sometimes you don't. But the Holy Spirit is still with you. The Holy Spirit is still with you. And so sometimes in those dry times, the Holy Spirit is still nurturing you the way you need to be nurtured. And you may be a succulent where, the moisture, you don't need as much, in the sense of there's some people that they got to be surrounded by all of it, surrounded by fellow believers, surrounded by church atmosphere, surrounded by all this stuff. But you may be in a place where you don't get as much as a lot of other people. But guess what? You could be a succulent. Not a succubus. The two different things. I'm talking about a plant that doesn't need to be oversaturated with water to survive, and still be meat for the people around them. Still be, like cactus in the desert. You can eat cactus in the desert, and so there's food and provision there. You eat that. If you don't have any water, it provides you with hydration. So if you are a plant like a cactus, and you are in a space where there's not a lot of water, not a lot of all the stuff, God still sustains you, and He's designed you to be sustainable. Where, others, they need a rainforest. They need a rainforest. Okay? And it's nice to be in the rainforest, except for what happens in rainforests is a lot of times they are attacked. Man attacks rainforests way more than it ever attacks a desert. So think of that in the essence of our enemy are not people, but the enemy uses people. So there. All right. Okay, I am going to finish this up because I don't know how much time I got. But there was no Memory Monday yesterday because we took the dog to the vet. We were waiting for the phone call. We had to get a bunch of things done in between, trying to quickly do things so that we wouldn't get caught up doing anything lengthy during that time for when they called to come pick her up. And so, no Memory Monday yesterday. I did take off from work, so when I'm off from work, anything that I do is a bonus. So, Monday I was off, even though Friday I said I would be here, but I ended up, I thought about doing a 3-minute short, just to let you know what's going on, and that there wouldn't be any Memory Monday for this week, but I decided I'm just going to give you the update today. All right, so, because it would have been last night, like after 8 o'clock, had I done that. So, with that, make sure you like, share, and comment, both here on Facebook and on YouTube. Go over to YouTube, Mona E. Harrison. You'll see my white hair. You'll see my beautiful face. You'll know you're in the right spot. And subscribe. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Both places. Get all the bells and whistles. Hit the notifications in case I go live on YouTube. And blessings, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for Wonderful Wednesday. And then Thursday, I'll give you the update, as tomorrow is when the vet calls us about the x-rays. All right. So, So, have a blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow.